In contrast, in Indonesia, where we have a lot of like a small region, which there's at least like one school for each region, right? Panels. Please understand that it has become the behavior of these people, especially for the children that born in the region, for instance, right, to speak with their own language, right? Here, us, what we want on these motions to be accepted because we believe that in our side this will bring like many benefits. Panels, if the opposition comes with the idea that this will cause like in students don't know how to speak their own state language fluently, where panels, this is not gonna happen because on the mechanism later that we will explain. So let us define some kind of points here. Firstly, about the students itself, we characterize as two. Firstly, that the children that born and speaks fluently with their own language, right? But secondly, about the children that still are like hard to adapt with the new language because where this is gonna just make like them harder if we are like opposing the motions. But panels, the children, the specific children that we talk here are the children that still under age of 15, for instance, where they are still like studying in the kindergarten, elementary school, and etc. Right? But second, define then about the schools itself, we characterize it as a place that to find a comfort one so that they can study focusedly and like more understand about the subjects, right? And the thirdly, about the majority, about the languages itself. First, about the majority itself, we characterize as first that the language that they speak every day, right? But secondly, about the language that make them comfort. But about the official state language itself, then coming to the first, where this talking about the language that's still like not used as much as their daily language. But secondly, about the language that that this doesn't mean that these students or teacher is having like a lack of speaking for the official state itself, right? But they are just like more commonly for speaking with their own region language, for instance. So what are we going to reach in this debate is R2. Firstly, about rather than just praise to understand the students with their language states itself, which give more burden, we will going like to give the most comfortable way for these students to studying with their own words, right? Imagine when they have to understand biology, where also in the other side they have to understand about the language that explain about the biology itself. But secondly, the children still maintaining the region language for the sake of continuing the constituent at the end of the day. So panels, what are the mechanisms that we will overview here? Firstly, about the teacher that will teach in language that used by majority of students, right? We will let this kind of happens. Panels, for example, like when the teacher teaching in Java, for instance, the teacher have to teach in Java language because that's what the majority of students speaking fluently about, right? So what happened about the mutations teacher that maybe like a points the points that the opposition concerned about. Panels, we also gonna like have a teach or training before this kind of mutations teacher get to mutations in that regions. But second mechanism there, the student we will still have like a language states lesson in their class. For example, like Bahasa Indonesia is the main subjects. So this answer the concern of the opposition team that we noticed before on the beginning, right? So coming to the arguments then, where we are talking about why is this justifiable? Panels, schools in Indonesia, not only in the big cities, right? Like we mentioned before, there's still like many schools that exist in a small town and using their own language, and that's the one that make them comfortable, right? Panels, instead of crushing these children for using official state language, we think by follow the one that make them comfortable will bring like a more benefit one, such as the more or easier way to understand the subjects because they follow their style, right? Because they can understand it faster by that way. As the example we bring before, where it looks like a give more burden, where you have to understand the biology explanations by when you are also like having to understand about the languages itself, right? Even if it's good for knowing like reaching like a new knowledge, for instance, but panels, this will like a harder for the children, as we pointed before, where this can learn when they are teenager later, we think, right? As children, understandable is the most important thing, we think, right? So coming to the B reasons, right? This will like a more comfortable for them, where this will not gonna like give more pressures. So these children are like more likely go to schools, right? In their sides, when you are like giving like a double burden, this will like make them have a perspective about the schools is a place that like giving more burden and pressure at the time, and this is and we think that this is gonna bad for the end of the day. So coming to the second reasons then, panels, we will gonna keep the existence of the language itself. As the time walking to keep the value of your region identity is very important. That right? Which one of the way are by using this kind of way, ladies and gentlemen, when they are like a brush to understand subjects by using official state language again and again, especially for the children as we characterized before, which is like the children that still in the kindergarten, when they are like still harder to adapt or and etc. This will like restructuring their minds, and it's not impossible anymore where we are going to lose our identity of language because of this way, because these pressures for these children at the end of the day, which is we regret for all reasons, right? So come to the second argument then, where we are talking about how is it gonna pragmatically beneficial for the side of the house. Panels, understand in our side that we are going stand for the sake of the comfortable for the comfortableness, and also we think that this is the more important one for especially for the children itself, right? Where in opposition they are just like glorifying about, and they are too concerned about the lack of speaking fluently with the official state language itself. Where panels, in our side we think that this is it's not gonna like bring not as bad as what the opposition looks like, right? So how is it beneficial in our side of the house? In our side, we will like make like a children are comfortable to go to school, right? They will like more communicative, for instance. They are with more confidence, and this is will good for their social skills and etc. Right? But secondly, there will no like a double burden for the children itself, like the example that we bring before, which you have to understand two things in the same time. But thirdly, we will like keep the existence of the culture in the nowadays era, where we think that it's kind of risky when we are if we are forgetting about our language itself. But what happened in the oppositions then? Well, they will like giving more burden, which is bad for the children itself, because at the end of the day, these children will lazy to go to school because they have like a lack for speaking fluently to understand the subjects, for instance. But secondly, this will like oppress the students itself, and we think that this is gonna harm, where this is possibly to disturb their social skills, for instance, because maybe they have no confidence. They also like hard to understand, especially the children in kindergarten, because the lack of because the pressure of to speak with the language that you are not understand at all, right? So panels, at the end of the day, we think that this is just gonna like increasing the lack of information, like a lack of the education, especially in the small towns itself. So panels, by all those reasons, very proud to bring propositions.